Richard Dreyfuss playing a teenager. Ha! I gotta see this. American Graffiti, released in 1973, and is directed by George Lucas, who's behind this tiny independent franchise known as Star Wars, and that's really the big thing that he's known for. And this film is starring Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard, Paul Lamont, Charles Martin Smith, Candy Clark, Mackenzie Phillips, Cindy Williams, Wolfman Jack, and a little bit of Harrison Ford. And the reason why we're talking about American Graffiti today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from a big contributor and supporter of this channel, Jeff Fry. Once again, you're sending me over all of these 80s and 70s hits, films, many in your bundle that I have never seen before, and this being one of them. I've always heard about this film because it's directed by George Lucas, and George Lucas does Star Wars, and you watch any of these behind the scenes or documentaries about the making of Star Wars, then we get into George Lucas, they're always talking about, oh, he's just coming off of American Graffiti, and he was gonna go down like an Oscar route, and that was a very Academy Award, Oscar baity type movie, before he decided to throw in the towel and go with all this space opera bullshit. So I've always heard about this film, but I've never gotten around to watching it until today, and I don't know, my life has not changed. I'm not disappointed and I'm not angry, but I'm not enthusiastic about what I saw either, but we'll get into that here, Jeff. Thank you very much for the recommendation. If anyone else out there also wants to be like Jeff Fry and help support me and contribute to this channel, you can select the QR code that is in the bottom left corner of your screen right now. Send over your donation of $5 or more with your movie recommendation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, and give you a little shout out just like what I did with Jeff Fry here. It's the last day of summer vacation, and we're following the last night of four best friends as they go on four separate journeys, where this night they all make the decision on where they're gonna go and where their life is gonna take them for the rest of their goddamn lives. We have Kurt, played by Richard Dreyfuss. It's weird seeing him so young, but clearly not a teenager, like going off to college and has just graduated high school. He's not that young. He's young. This is the youngest I've ever seen him, but he ain't that young, buddy. But this is the 70s, and you can't get actual teenagers back then to be in high school coming-of-age movies. You have to have people in their late 20s, early 30s to do that shit. But Kurt is supposed to go off to college, but he's thinking about sticking around in this small town because it's safe here. He knows everything, he knows everyone, and everyone looks up to him, you know, for the time being. Same thing goes for John, who is a drag racer, because that's the thing that you did as a teenager back in the 70s. You raced people with your little cars, and you pulled your dicks out, and you measured them. You put them up against the other guy's dick, and you're like, hey, mine's bigger, but you know what? Your girth is fine too, my friend, so good on ya, and mine's bigger, see? Haha! Terry is the dweeb of the group who's always trying to live up to the other people. I think the other three are older than him, and he wants to be as cool as they are. So he gets Steve's car in this movie because Steve is also going to be going off to college, and he's so pumped about it. He's going to go off, he and Kurt are going to be hanging out in college and living life and experiencing it, and having a whole bunch of women have sex with them, because that's what we think about when we're younger, which, you know what, that's not entirely false. That's what teenagers think about a lot, because the chemicals and everything are just going like crazy. But this movie takes place all in this one night, this last night of summer vacation. I guess college or orientation starts the next morning. Maybe not, but the plane takes off tomorrow for them to go out to California to the university that they're going to. And the 30-year-old in me is looking at this thinking like, you teenagers, you are putting so much pressure on yourselves to decide what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life, all in this short period amount of time. You have so much time to go out and experience things and try things. You don't have to go do this because your parents are forcing you to do it or your friends are forcing you to do it. You can relax, take your time. But when I go back and think about like my upbringing and where I was when I was these characters' ages, there is a lot of pressure put on you from your friends, from your family, from your community, in that, oh, well, you were doing this in high school, and, you know, this is all that you've known because this is the community that you've grown up with basically your entire life. So yeah, you're supposed to go off and go to college and get a major and then do this because you're so good at that here in high school that should be all that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. There's no need to try other things or to change or to experience other life experiences. You just need to go do this one perfect thing. Now go! So I like the aspect of this story, of the pressures that are being put on teenagers to decide what they're going to be doing with the rest of their life in a short amount of time. Here, it's not even 24 hours, maybe like a 12-hour period, which even when I was that young, I was still loving sleep, and I rarely stayed up all through the night and pulled a one-nighter. But in the end, we have some nice character development and character, I guess, switches when it comes to motivations and to realizations. And I like that. I like when a script sets you down a certain path, but then by the end, we're completely opposite. We are going the different direction, or we made a sharp left or right turn, and these characters are doing something else. I enjoy that. Though the focus of this movie, it's a little all over the place. We have 4 main characters, these 4 friends, who are doing their own thing. They really never cross paths with each other than a couple of times here and there. So as an audience member, you're trying to get behind 4 different stories that are all happening at once, which sounds simple, and if executed better, I think would have made for a more enjoyable film. But for some reason, I was really not getting behind any of these characters, mainly because all of them were just so focused on their cars, and I am not a car person. I know this is the 70s, and that's like the big thing. If you had a car, freaking awesome. But I guess back when I was a teenager, if you had a car or if you had means of transportation, that also made you cool. So yeah, it's just been so long since I've been a teenager. Maybe I need to give this movie a second chance. But I feel like the relationship and the tie-ins with all 4 of these characters, I mean, it's a George Lucas film, and George Lucas is not the best at character development. He's great on the technical side, like the cinematography, shooting all of the racing scenes in here I think was really cool. But when it comes to story and character development, there's not a lot of depth that you get from George Lucas movies. Which I guess you can make the argument that this is more of like a realistic or naturalistic take on teenagers' lives in the 1970s. Does it have a symmetry and a poetic ending to it? Sure, but a lot of it is really natural and very realistic, and we're kind of just going along for the ride. Though one of those rides is a teenager clearly driving around and hanging out with a 12 or 6, was she 16? I don't know. She was much younger than him, and I'm pretty sure if things would have progressed, would have been statutory rape. That part I didn't really like, but I guess it was the 70s, so those types of things were not that big of a deal. I don't know. American Graffiti, I think, is a fine coming-of-age tale. Like I said, I don't think it's gonna break the bank. I don't think it's anything substantial or anything that you have to go out of your way to see. But if you do catch this, or if you do want to do like a George Lucas retrospective of his career, yeah, definitely watch this movie. Because it's a down-to-earth, realistic, naturalistic take on humans, and doesn't have to deal with all of the space opera seed stuff that he does. I don't even know if that was a word, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna give American Graffiti 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you've seen American Graffiti, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I'm released next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.